reason. And we vetted the company for 5 months together. And one day he said, hey, we're going to do this. I go, we're going to do what? Right. So, but I don't call people, but I stay in production, and everybody asks me, they're like, why are you in production? I did 35 million as an individual agent last year. I don't have to do 35 million. Okay. I'm the first icon. I'm the only icon with 7. I stay in the icons, and I'm about to get number 8. It's not about the stock anymore. Right. It's not about it's about staying in those rooms. I want to be in the right rooms. I want to be in those relationships. I want to be in those conversations. Right. So for me, it's all about relationships. People are watching me. They're seeing what I'm doing. They're seeing who I'm hanging out with. I had somebody who's at a company here in Austin called Realty Austin. And I was in a networking event thing the other day, and he just came up to me and he goes, I see you in a lot of pictures with Terrence Murphy. And I go, yeah. He goes, how do you know Terrence? And I said, well, Terrence and I have been friends, but he's a business partner of mine. He goes, he's got a huge independent brokerage that I think it did over $1 billion last year. And I said, yeah. I said, but actually he brought his whole brokerage over to EXP. And he was like, what? It opens the conversation only because he saw me in a picture with him, right? I didn't call him and say, hey, I know you don't know me, but do you want to look at EXP?
Yeah.
People don't EXP on people.
Yeah.
Because if Glenn Sanford or anybody came to me and they were talking to me about the company, they'd missed it. Glenn, and this is not a criticism on Glenn, but Glenn was talking to me about rev share. I was tuned out because I didn't understand that. If you get into conversations and if you get into relationships, Jackson's a great example of that. I've never met Jackson. He asked me to help him. Oh, by the way, she texted me today, Jackson. We're talking later today again. I'm staying on top of that. He's got a huge fish on the line that I'm helping him with in Compass. But I ask a lot of questions. I let them talk. I'm trying to figure out who they are and what the pebble is in their shoe. Because if I just say, hey, we're 80-20 split, $16,000 cat, if I start talking about, they don't care about that.
Yes. Right? Yes.
Especially when you're talking to like a Compass agent or something like that. They think they have everything at their fingertips and they're paying 10% and they're like, oh, this is a piece of cake. Why would I pay 20? I was like, let's look at the numbers.
Yeah. My
really Austin friend that I was just telling you about, year to date, he's paid his brokerage $210,000. I'm like, holy cow. And I asked him, I said, what would you do with that if you had that in your pocket? He's like, oh, I'd go buy a property. I was like, okay. And he goes, well, how much do you? Yeah. And I said, like, what value do you have? So you find the pebble in their shoe by having a relationship and a conversation, and they might not come right now. Terrence, it took me 4 years for him to finally come over. I just brought on somebody. This is pretty crazy, y'all. People are watching you. I got licensed in Georgia 17 and a half years ago. And my team leader to this day is still one of my most favorite mentors and relationships that I have. His name is Brad Feynman. If any of y'all were in the Keller Williams ecosystem, you probably know who Brad is. He kind of is like the one that would come in and turn around profit or market centers.
Market centers.
Yeah. And he was one that I reached out to seek wise counsel as well. When I talked to Glenn, not to recruit him, I was like, Brad, I need to know, you've owned Remaxes, you've owned Keller Williams, 7 years. It wasn't until this summer, he happened to be in Park City when we were up there and we were having a conversation, and I don't talk EXP to him. He's watching me though.
Yeah.
If you don't think people are watching you, y'all, they're watching you.
Yeah.
He looked at me. They were all playing golf. They all came home. I don't play golf. I know nothing. And he's talking about golf. And then out of the blue, he says, I'm ready to listen. And I looked at him, I go, listen about what? Literally had no idea what he was talking about. Wow. He's like, I want to hear about EXP. I said, okay. So he said, tomorrow morning at 9:30, we're all going to come out here. We're all going to have a conversation. I'm like, okay, what do you want to know? And I asked a lot of questions. Yeah. He just came on, y'all, September 1st. He's recruited over 2,000 agents to Keller Williams in his history of Keller Williams.
Yeah.
It took me 7 years. So my point is, people are watching you. Be a good person. Don't be and if you guys are those people, sorry, but don't call people up and just recruit them. And hey, I've got this property, or I've got this proposition for you. Come on. It just makes us look icky. I also correct people quite a bit because they're like, oh my gosh, all EXPs, they just recruit. I'm like, actually, only 12%. If you know the stats, use the stats, only 12% of our company even has one person underneath them.
Yeah.
Right. So I come from contribution. I want to figure out what the pebble is in their shoe. The Realty Austin friend the other day, it was funny because he opened up the whole conversation. We were at this mastermind. I was the only EXP agent there, and it was all these top agents. And he goes, Elizabeth, why are you in production? He says this in front of every, I couldn't have paid him to do this, right?
Yeah.
He goes, why are you in production? I was like, because I'm a real estate agent. He's like, aren't you just getting checks and making a whole bunch of money from EXP? And I go, well, that is a true statement because I have to feed his ego, right? I was like, that is a true statement. However, I said, he goes, why do you do this? And I said, because it's more exciting for me to watch other people win and get them to out succeed me than it is for me to, just have, being in a recruiting element. So it opened up a dialogue with like 4 or 5 different producers that I'm going to talk to, but they've been watching me. So if you're acting like you should be in the marketplace, don't talk negatively about another company, don't talk negatively about another agent, just be positive, and rise above the noise. That's what I do on a daily basis. I don't do lunch and learns. I'm not saying that's the wrong way to do it. That's just not who I am.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, be authentic, figure out what works for you and stay in that lane. Lunch and learns don't work for me because I don't want to get up there talking about the company and I've got all these blank stares looking at me and I can't really get granular in who they are. I want to get to know who they are.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I go to coffee, I go to lunch, we do masterminds, I create opportunities. I created a group, it's called Fearlessly Authentic Women in Real Estate. Right. We're a resource. People are not collaborating like EXP collaborates. They think they know collaboration until they get involved in what we're doing. I do a lot of events. I know I'm talking a lot and I'll open up for questions for a minute, but I created an opportunity here in Austin because there was a need for EXP agents called AHA Group, Agents Helping Agents. I started doing this pre-COVID. It was for all of our EXP agents because we're virtual, yes, but I wanted people to get to know, touch and feel, their colleagues and their family. COVID hit and that changed things a little bit. And then afterwards, there was so much fear. Now all the EXP agents come and they open it up to their guests. We don't talk EXP at all. It's off limits. It's a safe space for agents to bring their guests. We can all share. We talk production every single time. I rent a room at ABOR, Austin Board of Realtors. I pay $500 a month, right? I'm not asking my agents to do it, but I charge them $10 so they have skin in the game. I bring in a sponsor. I'm like, you don't have to pay for the room, but you have to feed my agents and you have to add value. And we do production. I mean, last week, whenever we did it, we do it consistently. Consistency is key, by the way. We do it consistently the first Tuesday of every month. And last time we had a top icon panel, but then I also had a rising star panel so people could be relatable and have those conversations. And you do it, it's just like marketing. It's just like real estate. I'm 100% referral in my business because I stay in touch with my clients 36 times a year. I do the same thing with my agents. So if you don't have those opportunities, create those opportunities, but come from service instead of trying to pitch or sell somebody. Everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold. So if you want to do an AHA group, we've got them popping up all over the country now. It's pretty amazing. In workplace, it's called AHA Club Organizers. Just go in there. All the information is there. The logos are in there. It's called Rip Off and Duplicate, R&D. And we've got them in Baltimore and Dallas and Houston. And it's not me running them. It's everybody in those markets. But then you are seen as the local leader. People are watching you. They're being drawn to you. And they want to learn and be a part of what you're doing. All right. I'll shut up for a minute. Is that helpful?
Yes, extremely helpful. So a couple of questions came up as we're going through here, and we could recap a couple of things, and we can dig into a couple of them for a little more detail. So one of Kathy Carter asked, I know you talk to a lot of people without a CRM. How do you remember to stay in touch with them, or do you?
Yeah, so the best CRM to use is the one you use. For a long time, I was an Excel girl. I never used KV Core because I've been at EXP so long that we didn't have KV Core then, and it's painful to change a CRM. So I have a CRM. I'm trying to be a better agent and learn to use it, but I like Trello.
Yeah.
Because I'm very visual. And fun fact, EXP was actually created by Glenn on Trello, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So I have Trello boards so I can see where they are in the process. What's cool too is I don't understand how to do all this, my assistant does, but they can fill out a form and then all their photos, everything comes into that one document. But I'm going to give you all this app called Reach, REACH. I see Ziggy in here. Hi, Ziggy. I think she's been in a lot of my classes. She probably heard me talk about Reach a lot. By the way, Ziggy's a freaking rock star, right? I'm watching her climb and celebrating her every step of the way. I remember when she's a brand new baby agent, lots of fear, and look at what she's doing in New York. It's pretty cool. So Reach is an app. It's free. I like free, very cheap. But what's cool about it is you can create one message and you can have different groups. So if I'm looking at my Reach app right now, I have active agent attraction is one of my groups, and I have 51 people in there. This is not people I'm spamming or whatever. I just have them in front of me at all times, right? I have a client group. I have my first line downline group, because again, I want to love on my agents. I have a downline beyond my first line because I have relationships with a lot of those people. So you can have all these different groups, right? So on my active recruits, what I'll just say is, like, if I want to do a message, hey, we're having this amazing class, at A-Board, it's broker blind. I always include that, broker blind.
Yeah.
Which means that any brokerage can come.
We call brand.
I'd love for you to be my guest. Yeah, I'd love for you to be my guest. Now, what's cool is I just have to do it one time, and it sends to each of the people I select in that group as an individual text, not a big group text. Nice. That's how I keep them front of mind. I have the same thing with my clients. So, I mean, kind of a little white lie, sort of, but at some point I'm in their neighborhood. Sometimes if I just want to touch everybody, because again, I touch them 36 times a year. I'll say, hey, I was in your neighborhood and was thinking about you, would love to catch coffee or lunch sometime in the coming weeks. Let me know when you're free. And it sends it to all my clients individually. They don't know if I was really in their neighborhood. Don't lie, say I was in a neighborhood. Okay, whatever. Yeah. But it's a touch, right? They might not go to coffee. They might not go be available, but it's still a touch. They'll still respond. You're still thinking of them, because I teach on marketing to your sphere and building a referral-based database all the time. NAR statistics say 83% of agents aren't staying in touch with their past clients.
Yes.
So I'm very intentional with my clients, and I'm very intentional with my agents. And then I support them in whatever that is they need.
Okay. So one of the things that I really love that you started off with is when you're talking about your people that you've attracted, you're treating everybody on your first line like family.
Yeah.
That you like, apparently. Family you like.
Right. Well, even if I don't like them, I'm going to treat them. Yeah.
So what are a couple of things that you're doing with them that's helping them? Is it making sure they have access to the other things that you're doing? Or what do you do to treat them like family? Like, give us a couple of examples.
So they have access to me all the time. They know that. I mean, they can text me and I don't care where I am. I'm going to respond to them, and they know that. So again, I don't want them to ever feel like they're on an island. I promise them that we're going to help them, yes, be part of the family and collaborate. And so I'm extremely responsive. Yes. I do a quarterly gratitude lunch. So I invite all of them. I rent out a big space. We do a really cool thing. And so in fact, my gratitude lunch is October 6th. Holidays, I get something really, really cool, or do something like last year. What did I do? Rocket books. Y'all know what those are?
No.
Okay, they're like a dry erase board, but they're books, and you can write all your notes, and then you can transfer it all to your computer, and it's really, really cool. And I'm one of the founders of Family Tree. If y'all aren't in Family Tree, get in Family Tree. It's a group that Rich Tomancini, Mitch Rybeck, Hank Avink, and I all created because we are tired of people talking about that your downline matters or your upline matters.
Yeah.
And we don't believe your line matters. We believe we're all one company. And if somebody outside my line is winning, we're owners of this company, we all win. And so we have about 7,000 people in that group organically. But so for Family Tree, what I did is I got the logo and I had it all put on all the Rocket books, and I sent that all. For my agents,
how do you access Family Tree?
Workplace. Just go to Family Tree and Workplace and join the group, and you'll be accepted. We don't care if you're new. We don't care if you have a sponsor. We don't care if you're an orphan. We don't care who you are. You're family, and we want you a part of it. And we do training and coaching and stuff in there every day.
Right. So the more you guys plug your people into other people's systems, the better they're going to do, and the less pressure you guys have. So I hear this question a lot. It's like, how do you manage 7,000 people, Russ? I'm like, I don't. I never have. Right? So when I have those massive teams, I have people that manage people that manage people. And the more resources you can have for your people and redirect them back to that stuff. So family tree is a great one. Thank you for saying that again, because I've got a guy that I just picked up, like jump in family tree. They got a bunch of really great stuff going there. And it's one less thing for me to do. And by the way, some of the stuff they're doing is way better than what I do.
Yeah. Well, we're one person, right? And I mean, even me, which I've got 11,000 plus people in my organization, right? Yep. Even me, I've asked other groups, hey, can I have access to that? And they won't give me access. I'm like, what the heck? Like, okay, fine. We're just, kill them with kindness. So, but pour them into that. So I get them very involved. I also talk about lifting others as I climb. So anytime I can give them a stage of some sort, I'm going to put them in those positions, right? So when I just did the AHA thing, I picked specific people that made sense and gave them a stage. Here's the cool thing, y'all. I got to read this to you because I'm very proud of this. I didn't sometimes you just don't understand the impact you're going to make on somebody. Now, this one, she's in my second line because sometimes I'm trying to help my other ones grow, right? It's like, so she's in my second line, but I treat her like she's in my first. So when I said earlier, I've got my first line, but there's a handful of seconds.
Yep.
She was at a small independent brokerage here in Austin for a long time. She's a $10 to $15 million producer. Okay. She loved the collaboration. She loved what we were doing. She's been watching me for a long time. And I asked her, I said, hey, you've got some amazing value. I want you to come and present at this event and be on a panel. And she's like, sure, absolutely. She didn't seem excited about it. She didn't seem nervous about it, whatever. I was like, okay, she might do this all the time. Well, she got over to Austin Board of Realtors and literally her old broker was doing a small thing in the next conference room. Like, what are the odds of that? Okay.
Love it.
So she saw him on the elevator and she was like, oh my gosh. So this is the text she sent me afterwards, after the event. I just wanted to let you know how grateful I am to have connected with you. I truly believe in life serendipity. I get in the elevator today and my old broker who never gave me a voice is in the conference room next door. And my new mentor and friend gives me a mic. I'm where I'm supposed to be, right? So that's why I try to lift others that as I climb and put them in those spots. All right. So I also celebrate their successes. If they cap, when they cap, right? I have a capper gift. It all rotates, but for the guys, when they cap, they've got these really cool Yetis and it has the EXP logo and it says capper on it, right? Not really obnoxious, but it's a cool Yeti. It's one of the big ones. The girls though, they love all the girls on here. You love the blue box. I go to Tiffany's. Okay. And again, it's all about like how you make somebody feel. And they have these really cool, not the little keychains with the Tiffany's heart, but it's a keychain that's the whole keychain is one metal heart that you hook your keys on. It's pretty simple, but anyway, it's like $75. It's not all that much in the grand scheme of things. And I buy a whole bunch of those. And whenever my girls cap, my women cap, I send them one of these Tiffany's blue boxes in the mail. They flip out, y'all.
Nice.
I mean, that's pretty freaking cool, right? Now, when they cap again, I'm not going to give them the same thing, but, and then my icon agents, I celebrate them in a big way. Now, I know this stuff isn't all, possible for everybody right now, but I have a second home. I have a home in Park City and I don't rent it. When I bought it, I told my husband, I bought it, y'all, without my husband seeing it. It's kind of crazy, but anyway.
I just had a heart attack there for a second, just so you know.
He about it. He about
it. Oh no, you didn't.
Whatever. He sticks to me. He goes and buys shoes. I go buy houses in Park City. So I bought this house and I said, he goes, what are we going to do? Are we going to rent it? Because we have a lot of investment properties. I said, no. I said, I'm tired of buying investment properties that we're not enjoying and celebrating other people. I said, I want to buy this house in Park City to celebrate my agents. He goes, what do you mean by that? I said, when they icon, it's very hard to icon, y'all. We work hard. I want them to play hard. I know what it takes on their families. And so anytime my agents icon, I give them a calendar link. They book a week for their families to go use my house in Park City. So, but think outside the box and stuff like that, right? I mean, I don't have to be there. I want them to go enjoy their family. And I've had probably this summer, 3 or 4 of them all used it. I've got one of them using it over Thanksgiving. And one of them said, we're bringing our family back together because of this trip. So we're impacting them in a bigger way. So just think of stuff like that. You don't have to go buy a house to have your agents use. Send them a gift card, send them a handwritten note. I send them handwritten notes all the time.
Beautiful.
Go to Target. They have these postcards that are all encouragement type postcards. I think there's 20 in a package and it's really inexpensive. And one will say, I mean, some of them are funny. It's like, when you climb a mountain, let's scale the mountain together. Who needs pants? I mean, they're just really silly, but they're just postcards. And when I was in Park City, I hand wrote a note to each and every one of them. And I got so many responses from them. And they're like, man, I feel special. I feel valued, right? That's what you want somebody to make. You just want to make them feel important.
Yeah. So I hear people say that handwritten note thing, Elizabeth, and let me get your take on this because my take on it's very, very strong, maybe a little aggressively strong. But they're like, well, they got this program, Russ, that can write the stuff for you. No. There's something to you taking time, energy, effort, and energy you put into that. And there's a feel to it that comes from her handwriting.
Yeah.
People notice that stuff. Don't shortcut the important stuff.
Yeah. And I have a lot of, I get them in the mail all the time too. I was like, oh, that was nice. They pushed a button. But here's the thing. When you write a handwritten note, y'all, it takes 5 minutes, but it makes a huge impact. When anybody writes me a handwritten note, I've got them all. I save them all because it means that much. I'm like, wow, they took time out of their day to sit there and write a handwritten note to me.
Yes.
I do it for my clients all the time.
Yes.
I talk about handwritten notes all the time, but I don't like send out cards. I don't like it. And I mean, nothing negative about it. Here's the other thing. Here's another way to reach and build relationship, right? You're all on social media. You're all on Facebook. I do this with my clients too. So anything I'm telling you guys I'm doing with my agents, I'm doing with my clients. It's the 3 C's. I have a stack of note cards by my computer. I have thank you notes. I have sympathy. I've got all sorts of birthdays, all that stuff. When I'm scrolling through Facebook, I feel guilty because I'm like, man, I should be doing something productive. So now I've just combined the efforts. It's the 3 C's. It's congratulate, console, or compliment. So as you're going through Facebook and you're seeing something, instead of just a little heart or a little check mark or whatever, just say, oh my gosh, and you can write something. But then if you come across Susie, whose dog just died, instead of just putting a little caring heart, grab one of those note cards and say, hey, Susie, I just saw that your dog died. I just wanted to let you know, I'm really thinking about you. I know that's really hard, XOXO Elizabeth. And then I don't put anything, if you know anybody buying or selling, investing in real estate, call me, right? Because I'm building that relationship. Y'all can do that with your agents.
Yeah.
That you're looking or that you're trying to build a relationship for. So while you're going through Facebook, just do 5 handwritten notes a day or 1 a day. I don't care. Just do something while you're trying to stay in relationship with people, but don't be cheesy. Be authentic about it.
Yeah. So you got congratulate, console, and what was the last one?
Compliment.
Good.
Like when like with my agents, when they had kids that were graduating in May, whatever, I went and got gift cards from Amazon and I sent their kids, my agents' kids, gift cards, right? You treat them like your family. You just love on people.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, how do you get their addresses for people that are on Facebook? Because not everybody's got addresses on Facebook.
I don't, so I'll stalk them. I mean, we're real estate agents.
Yeah.
Like we have access to a lot of stuff. We have access to addresses and things like that.
It's a great task for an assistant.
Well, right. It's like, just go find the address. Or if I don't have it, I'll be like, I mean, it's not a funny story, but it's kind of a funny story. I mean, I thought I was all on top of this. One of my agents out of Connecticut, his mother just passed away. And I sent flowers, just was like, man, I'm so sorry. I'm thinking about you. Well, the flower shop called me and said, hey, Elizabeth, we actually know Scott really, really well. This isn't his address anymore. And this happened last week. He has a new address, so we're going to send it to the new address. I was like, awesome. Can I have that new address so I can update my file? I mean, I talked to him weekly and I didn't even know, right? So I'm like, oh, well, that was great. But yeah, you can find it. And
Yeah.
if not, just ask them, hey, I wanted to send you something. Can I get your address?
Hey guys, this is the perfect time of year, and I've done this for many, many years, and I had that question come up a bunch, Elizabeth. So not the first time we've heard that question. This is the perfect time of year to send out note to people. You can hit them in Messenger, even if it's on Facebook, and say, hey, by the way, I'm sending out holiday cards this year. Can you give me your current address? And most people will say, yeah, sure, here's my current address. If you do it in a mass or you just do a post, you don't get it. You can get some in a post, but you're going to get people like Jackson that are going to send you his address. And I don't want to talk to Jackson. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But so just ask them, right? Say, hey, I'm putting together holiday list cards. I'm doing holiday cards again because I missed that from when I was young. And can you send me your current address? And people will give it to you. And if they don't, guys, you're probably not going to do business with them anyway. They're not willing to give you that. There's no way they're joining EXP. They're probably not going to sell a house with you, right? So why don't you have the list weed itself? It's a self-weeding list, which I love. So Elizabeth, perfect story. And I'm going to dovetail with what you just said, the power of handwritten notes. I used to have real estate agents. I was a broker, had a bunch of people on my team, and my agents would come into my office, Elizabeth, and they would show me this. I knew exactly what it was when they were walking through the door. And it pissed me off and it made me happy, and it pissed me off and it made me happy. I knew when they walked in with a card in their hand, Florin Patrascoiu from Remax down the street, every time somebody did a transaction with one of my people, he sent them a handwritten note. And trust me, my team ground my nose in it every time they got one. And I was like, you pissed me off, Florin, and I love you, because if it's that amazing to each one of them, and it happened time after time after time, if it's that amazing to them, it's that amazing to probably everybody else too. Yeah. So I started doing that. And guess what? People wanted to talk to me. When I was out and about, people would come up to me and they're like, hey, you're the guy with the thing and the thing and the thing. You start to become recognizable, and you took the time. It doesn't take much, but the impact is insane. It really is stupid how strong of an impact the handwritten notes make still to this day. And people underestimate it across the board, and most people won't do it. But I love that you get that. I love how powerful that is. And by the way, I've got one on my desk in front of me, handwritten note somebody sent to me. It still impresses me.
We get lazy, y'all. We rely on technology way too much now. And we think we're in relationship with people because of Facebook, because we're like, oh, we know everything's going on. It's like, shoot, I haven't talked to them in a year, right? So it's just bringing that human element. And I mean, I tell my kids the same thing. During COVID, I've got 4 kids. Not during COVID, but I have 4 kids.
You're busy.
Yeah, right. My oldest is 16 at this point. And my kids, all 4 of my kids, they work on all my marketing stuff with me. They stamp stuff, they deliver stuff. But my 16-year-old, I think he was 14 at the time, said, I want to make some money. How can I make some money? Because my daughter had started this online thrift shop. And so he's like, well, I want to make money too. And so we made him door hangers on Canva, made these door hangers that said rent a kid. And I'm a freshman, and this is what I live in the neighborhood. I'd love to do, power washing. And he made a list of all these things he would do. Yeah. Well, during COVID, all these people had outdoor activities for him, and they would all call. And after he would get the job was done, he was getting payment, he'd come home. I'm like, okay, now write a handwritten note. Now, you tell a 14-year-old boy to write a handwritten note, like he has no interest in doing that. I was like, you're writing a handwritten note, and here's the reason why. And so he would do it because I made him. But then all of a sudden he's like, Mom, so-and-so just wrote me a note going, oh my gosh, I got your note. Thank you so much. I was just thinking about it, and I gave your name to somebody else. And then I said, now you ask for referrals or a recommendation or testimonials or anything like that. And he was like, I thought it was really silly, but he goes, I think it actually made a difference. It gave me another reason to reach out to them. And so it was cool, because I'm like, yes, exactly. I'm not, doing this in vain. So handwritten notes are big, but there's a lot of people that are super great on technology and social media and WhatsApp, or not WhatsApp, but like Messenger. You can still reach out to people that way. It's just really who you are. Just don't be like, hey, you want to talk about EXP? It just comes across slimy.
Like there's silly little things like, here's a technique that I use. And I think, Elizabeth, you're going to love this one too. And you'll probably start stealing it. When I see somebody get told happy birthday on Facebook, I do not tell people happy birthday on Facebook, or I will, but that's my cue to go grab my phone. And by the way, I just did this to Marissa Trong, Tom Trong's wife. Yeah. I grab my phone and I open up video and I'm like, happy birthday to you. Jackass, happy birthday, right? Like everybody's hitting them all over the place. Take the time and make it personal. Take a quick, hey, real quick video. Just want to say, hey, I want to tell you, I saw that. That was amazing. And I'm really proud of you. Those individual moments. So use Facebook as a primer for you to do something that is more personal, and a Facebook video or a messenger video or a text video to them. Keep it short, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Bam. You want to talk about people's responses to that is mind-boggling, Elizabeth. Same type
I love that. I'll usually do a text. I'll say happy birthday on Facebook, but I'll also do a text. I hate video.
I know. So do I.
I get better. But what I will do for my frontline and my agents that I'm more comfortable with, you can, those, when you go on a text and you can do the different animals.
Yes.
Right. So I'll sing to them with the unicorn.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And like Jen Van Berkeley was like, I've never had a singing unicorn before. And I mean, it's like stuff like that. So I'm the same way. Yeah. Just do something a little bit different.
Find it as a cue to give you a reason to do something out of the box and out of the ordinary that makes you stand out, right? If you don't stand out, you don't stand out. It's that simple. And by the way, I don't like the way I look on video, and I don't like the way I sound on video. I look like a turtle and I sound like a Muppet character. So like, that's just the way I feel, right? I'm okay with it. I've gotten used to it. And not everybody's as pretty as you are. So it's okay. I just deal with it. But like, guys, just do it because it makes you really stand out. You don't like the way you sound? It's normal. Get over it.
We all sound and look that way anyway, right? And no, you don't look like a turtle, and you don't sound like a turtle.
Well, thank you. Anyway, so Elizabeth, so you basically walked through a recipe, and I'd heard a couple chunks and parts of, and part of the reason why I wanted you here is because the way you talk about business and the way you do business aligns with almost identical to my recipe. So here's the recipe I've got: plus houses equals plus dollars equals plus people. Yeah. Right. The more houses you sell, the more dollars you make, the more people you get. And the more people you get, the more houses you sell, the more dollars you make, the more people you get. And by the way, on every one of these house transactions, you get this other people, which is a realtor people with an R. So the more of these you do, the more of those you get. And now you've got a reason to communicate with them. You can send them a note, so forth and so on. So people are trying to bypass the house sale stuff, which is what we're in the business for, to just get to the people part. And I'll tell you, you're going to starve to death going with that as the first run. You'll make a bunch of money doing this, and then that becomes 1,000 times easier. So you're trying to reverse engineer it backwards. So do you want to make $1 million a year, $350 at a time, or $10, $12, $15,000 at a time? And then the process of doing that, you add up so many 350s that you don't have to do this anymore if you don't want to.
Right.
So that's the recipe.
Yeah, and that's where I am right now, because everybody's like, okay, you're in real. I was like, I love transactions. I love doing the deals. And quite frankly, that's not what's pushing me really anymore. And if you guys saw Glenn Sanford speak a couple of years ago, I think it was shareholders, he talked about pain versus purpose.
Yes.
That resonated with me. It sticks with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Right. And so I'm out of the pain. What's my purpose? And the transactions don't drive me. I don't have a problem, knock on wood, getting business, just because, I mean, I've been doing it for 17 something years. So my referral base is huge.
Yes.
But a lot of my agents on my front line, especially, or my second line, I want to help them build up their business because they're here for production. Yes. Most people are coming to this company, again, remember 88%, right? They're here for production. If you can help them build their production, then that's what they need. Otherwise, everything else is a distraction.
Yes.
So what I'm now doing is every one of my deals has another agent on that side. So for example, right after this, I'm going on a listing presentation not a listing presentation, they just call me to list, but because I have the relationship. And so I'm taking Meredith.
Yes.
And the way I'm going to introduce you is like, Meredith and I work together. You're going to have both of us. She's going to be my boots on ground. And then we have a whole process, what we do.
Yes.
But then she runs with the listing.
Yes.
And she's got me to help with negotiations because I love that stuff too. But she runs with the listing and it frees me up. So every single one of my listings now has another agent on it. Every single one of my buyers has another agent on it. And it's a way for me to help my newer agents get into production because now they have a deal on their plate. I mean, I'm charging them 50-50, but I'm like, I'm handing this to you, but now they have a deal that they get to work on. Yep. They're getting shadow a top agent who's been doing this a long time.
Yep.
They're, it just is empowered because nobody knows they're new. I don't let anybody say, oh, this is my new agent,
Yes.
And then they get a commission at the end of the day and they're all excited. And so then it kind of, builds on top of that. So that's why I'm able to run around all over the country and speak at events and do the things that now I'm realizing is more my passion is, you know, lifting others as I climb and talking women leadership and all sorts of stuff like that. I'm recognizing that's what route I'm going in, but I'm not willing or ready to give up the transactional part. And that transactional part is allowing me to help other people build. So that's what I'm pivoting on now.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Elizabeth, I couldn't, like, here's your brain on drugs. Right? Like, this is it, right, guys? And this is one way to do it. So find the things, find the chunks, find the nuggets. You're not going to do all of it, but you can do one thing this week that you can add from this list. So what is the one thing you can do this week that you can add to the list? And then once you get that rolling, then you add another one, right? Like, you don't do 100 push-ups at once. You do one push-up, and then you do a second push-up, and then you do the third push-up. And it's just like that with life too. So grab one of these pieces, get great at that. And then once you get that moving, add another piece to it. So a lot of people will see this, Elizabeth, and they go, oh my God, how am I going to do all that? You don't. You started with one piece, right? And you're like, wait a minute. If you only do one, here's a question of the day. If you only could do one of these, Elizabeth, what would you pick?
Me?
You. What do you think is the most impactful? All of this stuff, you say, just do one. What has the highest impact of everything you've got here? Not that easy, because it's all of it, of course, but.
Well, here's the thing. Most people think I'm a big introvert. I'm actually very much of or they think I'm a big extrovert. I'm very much an introvert, right? So, me actually going to coffee and having all the small talk and stuff like that is painful to me. So it makes the impact. But when you're asking that question, that's why I'm trying to think, like, the most uncomfortable part is that, but it's impactful, right? But I think the handwritten notes, it's easy, it's inexpensive, it doesn't take a lot of time, and not a lot of people are doing it. And to your point, just don't compare yourself to others, because what I'm doing might be very, very different than like what Jordan wants to do or who her personality is, or Terry, right? So figure out what's authentic to you, because if you're not being authentic, they're going to see right through you.
Yes.
And then they're going to feel like, oh, you're just trying to get me to come to this company so you can make money off of me. And I've had conversations like that. I'm like, look, you're $2,800. Like, you coming to this company is not going to impact my life, but you coming to this company is absolutely going to impact your life, right? So just show them. I think it's easier if you show people rather than tell them, but I think handwritten notes is so easy that anybody can do that.
Yeah, I agree. And from a reasonable cost, time cost and actual physical cost is very, very minimal with massive impact. I'd say probably best impact per dollar time and energy you can spend with doing business. Of course, it helps if you're selling a bunch of houses while you're doing that too, but there's a bunch of different reasons you can find reasons to send those out. So I love that. And I know it works. I've seen it work, and it works on me too. So I love that. I love that you go there for it. So one of the fun parts about this whole thing is you guys just got to find your recipe. Elizabeth, I know you're at Build, and one of the things Tony Robbins said, easy for me to say, was, be a brand. Think of yourself as a brand, be a brand. And you've got to find what your flavor is. I'll say, find your tribe. What's your tribe, right? And I was thinking, I was kind of going more to t-shirts and stuff. And then I'm like, but I'm Russ the Vest dude. Like, I walk through a building without this on, nobody recognizes me. It's like Superman walking through the Daily Chronicle or wherever he worked, Nobody knew who he was.
We were just talking about you today, by the way, Randy and I, and the way you dress. And he was talking about how, he'll be in a t-shirt and we don't recognize him, but then he goes into his like Clark Kent and changes, and now there's Russ. Yeah, we were literally just talking about this.
So, and it's, I would love to get away from it, because trust me, it's not as much fun to roll like this every day as it is to throw a t-shirt on and a hat with a flat brim, that I would love to be that guy. But for me, I've done this for long enough that like people don't recognize me without it. So it's part of the brand. So I'm like, you know what, just reinvest in that. It's like, find your flavor, find your thing, and run like heck with that. So Elizabeth has found that. And for you guys, when you find that flavor, that's when you become your most authentic you. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be Elizabeth. Be the best you can be, because you're the only one that can do that. And have some fun with it, and just keep doing something. And consistency. That was right. Consistency. Elizabeth, that's your number 2. Whatever.
Consistency is key to anything. Yeah.
Consistency over time. Handwritten note once is one thing. Handwritten note year after year after year, and doing those little things consistently year after year after year. That's what makes a big difference and an impact in people.
Well,
So
and don't do it by yourself, right? That's the other thing. I mean, that was something I had to figure out too, because I was trying to be everything for everybody and talk to them all. Pull in your upline, pull in, who cares if they're even in your upline?
yeah,
Just pull in people that you feel can speak their language or they're very similar. And once you figure out the pebble in their shoe, right? Like
yeah,
until you figure out what they're, and they might be happy. And I tell them, I'm like, that's great. I love being in business with happy people, right? I mean,
there.
turn everything into an opportunity for a conversation, but then pull in other people. You
Yeah,
know, I pull in, there's times where if I'm attracting somebody, I don't sit there and do the heavy lifting. I pull in somebody,
yep,
right? I mean, I can speak about this company until I'm blue in the face, but it's much more effective and impactful if I have somebody else edifying me and edifying this company and coming from a neutral standpoint. So the third party calls are a big deal. Utilize those.
yeah, agreed, agreed. So incorporate that in your world. If you don't have a couple go-to people, find them, get them.
Yeah.
You can find people that jump up and down to volunteer for it. There's some people that love that stuff, guys. Like,
Yeah.
put them in. Like, get that guy that loves to go chase dogs around and bite stuff, and put him in when it's time to go chase stuff and bite stuff. Let him do what he enjoys. Let him go out there and bite stuff. That's the best way to roll, right? My dog loves hunting squirrels, right? You could not make it a better day for my dog. And if you're like, go find the squirrels, and she's like, yeehaw. And a greyhound, by the way, she wins a lot. Bad for squirrels, great for greyhound. But like,
Yeah.
find those sweet spots and run like heck with it. Have some fun. Let your tongue hang out. Get after it, right? All right. So Elizabeth, thank you for your time today. I'm going to open this up for questions. You want to stick around for a couple minutes?
Sure.
Go for it.
Hey, Russ,
Yes.
I'd love to, sweet Elizabeth, I would love to have your thought on this predicament. Huge icon agent in Dallas. We've been talking for quite a while. She does probably, I don't know, 15 to 18 million. And I was as I'm presenting it, it's about production.
Okay.
And what that looks like and what it could do for her and her family and accelerating, what her goals are. And so we left it. I didn't do the math on the phone with her, any of that. So then I just sat and did the math. It's $186,000 plus. That's not taking into account the stock, right, that she'll get, just really numbers. Give me some additional conversation, because what I did, you'll laugh, because this is kind of me. I snapshotted this, her production, right? What was and what it would be. And I go, my mind couldn't stop thinking about you after our conversation or your family. So I sent this to her and she's like, wow, that's interesting. I'll be back in Dallas next week. Maybe we can talk. Are you freaking kidding me? What's your next conversation if you're me?
What's her pain point?
So far, so she's moved to this new quote only lake area.
Okay.
And she's her fear, here's her fear,
Yeah.
is that because this boutique company is known for nothing but lake and waterfront, and EXP is nowhere around, that she won't have the business. Well, we're looking at the wrong thing, but that's
Well,
what
she's
says.
coming at it from a limiting mindset, because here's the thing, that's opportunity for her if EXP's not around. I was the first
Right.
EXP agent in Austin.
Yes.
Okay. I think there's a lot of people that would trade spots with me. And so she has a huge opportunity there, but she's not understanding it from that standpoint. So obviously you struck a chord with her, showing her the numbers.
Yeah.
I would not keep dialogue going on back and forth on text and email. I would absolutely either fly up there. Like I fly around to go meet somebody or drive somewhere. You can drive to Austin. I mean,
Yep.
Houston, Dallas, wherever she is, or get her on a Zoom or a conversation, say, let's talk about these numbers and let's talk about these opportunities. You're here in Dallas. This is your production. Where do you want to go? What's your goal in the next year or two? And she's like, well, I want to double my business. Okay. How are you going to do that? How is this brokerage? How is this model going to help you do that? They're so hyper local, which is what people forget. They can't really scale.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now, if you explain to her, well, you've got 85,000 partners that are here and we all refer within the organization because we're family and we're all owners of the company, and just
Yep.
start having those conversations with her that way. The fact that she responded means you have her thinking about those numbers. And I guarantee you, she's going back to those going, okay, hold on. And then when you get her on a call, say, that's just numbers to numbers. That's not even all the additional stuff that you could benefit from this company. That's not the stock. Don't even talk rev share. I don't talk rev share.
I
Right?
didn't.
But the stock, she's going to get the stock for doing production. She can't even opt out of that. She can't say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a top producer, I don't want the stock. Right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you can let her know, look, I mean, some of the icon stock war, but money doesn't, there's a guy that I'm going to get to the company. He's pretty awesome, but money doesn't drive him.
I know. Yeah.
So if money doesn't drive her, you've got to figure out what does. You've got to
Yeah.
figure out what she's missing and just fill in those holes. And just say, look, we've got amazing connections all over the state. And you're looking at hyper local, but look outside now, not only the state, but the country. Everybody's talking about Texas, and we're very, very connected. And then you connect her with, well, I would wait until you get it signed, but then you connect her with people that are focused on the lake areas. We've got a bunch of lakes in Austin. You've got a bunch of agents that focus on luxury lakefront property, and then put a post out there in workplace and say, hey, I want to do a mastermind, and just say, look, you're going to have this whole network of people that you couldn't put together if you tried at the brokerage you're at.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Perfect. The next one was to meet, and I offered, she was coming here that weekend over, what was the last holiday? Hell, I worked it. I don't know. Anyway, she was coming to Lago Vista. And I go, oh my God, that's perfect. You just tell me when over the 3 days I'll be there. I'm going to be here. I got the grandbaby. I'll come out. Well, maybe not. And I said, okay, I don't want to intrude. Let's find a time then I could come to Dallas. So I agree with you. I think the next one.
Don't be too eager for it. Just say, hey, I was thinking about you. And just because she's looking at those numbers and find out, like, for that amount of money, like my friend that's paying $210,000. I'm like, what are you getting for that? And he's like, well, this and this and this. I was like, and the more you make, the more they take. And he goes, what do you mean by that? I said, because the more you produce, I go, they've got a horrible model. I would think they'd cap their top producers for retention. I said, because the more you're making, the more they're taking. And I said, you could hire your own staff, your own assistant, your own social media person. You could do all these things that are focused on you, and you're now building your business, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
And so that's what you need to talk to her about, because she's building somebody else's brand and she's putting in all the hard work. She could do the exact same thing, and we could help her with the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I agree.
So
all right. Thank you.
That's super simple. Sounds like this is important to you. Let's get face to face.
Hey, Elizabeth, can I add on that real quick?
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near the level of some of our top producers, our top attractors yet, but I will be there. One of the things that I've learned over the years from the coaching that I received is, emotion, right? Logic makes them think, emotion makes them act. Yeah. So I think the most important thing is when I'm working with a small brokerage to merge them in, or I'm working with a top producer, like you mentioned, what is the pebble in the shoe or something bothering you, right? So it's always about a needs analysis to get to their emotion, right? So the logic makes them think. So you got them thinking, Christine. Now, how do we get the emotion to get them to take action?
Yeah, and you're going to find that by asking a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. And I know I have the luxury of knowing you, so I mean I know how you are. But I mean I get so tempted to just jump in and ask and answer it really quick. Just keep asking questions. Write notes. Keep asking questions. And then so I'm hearing you're saying this, and then you go back and you talk about where you can fit them in. But she just doesn't understand. She's real estate was always done one way for so long. We're having to re-educate people on what's possible, right? It's always been competitive. It hasn't really been collaborative. And so it's hard to get people to think that way if they're not used to it, right? So just keep asking questions, and then you've got her thinking on the number, and just say, do you know what you could do with that money? What would you do if you had that extra like I asked my friend, if you had that $210,000 in your pocket, what would you do with that? And right away, he knew what he was going to do with that. Yes. And I said, okay, well, let's have a conversation. So.
All right,
Thank you.
Jackson had a quick question. We got 2 minutes left. I want to make sure we're respectful of all your times and get Elizabeth's going to a listing appointment of all things. So we want to make sure we get her out of here on time.
Okay.
Jackson, is your question quick for her?
Hey, I was just gonna mention about talking and reaching out to people, and I'm always finding people that I kind of resonate with. Like like she said, I didn't even know her, but the person that I was talking to seemed like it was a really good connection. And come to find out, it was like an amazing connection, and it really worked. But it was a multiple tries with people, and I just didn't give up on that. And so just trying to find what connected with them.
Yeah.
Jackson was relentless. I'll just put it that way. And I admire that. I mean, because I've got, now that my EXP has everybody's levels, it's like, oh, you're my upline. I get bombarded, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I get workplace chats all the time. Can I get on your calendar? Can I get on your calendar? And I'm like, man, I want to help everybody because that's who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I forget, because I forget that I read one if I don't respond to it. Jackson was relentless. He kept bringing it back up. I was like, oh my gosh, if he's going to work this hard just to get on my calendar, I'm going to give this guy, some time with this person. And this agent, she's a Compass agent, and she's going to be amazing. We'll get her over. But yeah, just find people that are similar to who you're talking to and bring them in.
Good. Hey guys, a couple of detailed things real quick. Of course, we've got Sprint is on, so it's still going. So if you guys haven't qualified yet, put that little bit of extra effort in. It's going to be an amazing event we've got in Denver for the people in the US and for Canada. Anybody in Canada, push them because they need a boost right now. They're trying to get their numbers up and get their people qualified, and they got room for 45 of them. So the Denver event's going to be epic. If you guys get a chance to do that, put the extra effort in and make that happen. By the way, too, also Frank Panunto, my counterpart on the East Coast, some of you guys know him. He and I are doing EXP Explained, where he and I are having a conversation. We're like, what do agents want to talk about? And how are they going through it? And by the way, Elizabeth, we get to that little rev share thing at the end, and it's a little blip because we're talking about selling houses and doing a real estate business first, which is what most people want to talk about. And by the way, there's some other things you can do for an exit plan at the end of it. So that's on Wednesdays. I did that right after Elizabeth went live today. And that is recorded, and it'll be replayed on Mondays. So it's kind of him and I having a conversation about what do agents really want out of a company. And we walk through and pull the parts and pieces of EXP together. A little different take on EXP Explained. So you guys might want to catch that, use that. And by the way, we're going to be doing it live every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So jump on that, drag somebody into that. Because that's just two dudes that know business talking about how this works and how it works best for them. And it's not a
I was watching the first part of that, Russ, actually. And I loved y'all's style and how you guys went back and forth, and it was so different. I thought that was really, I couldn't watch the whole thing, so I want to go back and watch it, but y'all did a great job on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It was kind of more fun because I was like, hey, Frank, let's just you and me talk. Two business guys have done this for a while, and it's way more entertaining and enjoyable. There's going to be some replays of it. It'll be on the level. So go to YouTube and type in Level Up. EXP Level Up, and all of the things that are being done on the Level Up series on Monday Mastery, the Wednesday sessions, and then the Friday sessions, they're all going to be on there, and you can pull them up on the YouTube channel. So EXP Level Up, and it'll pull up some of the stuff, and then you can find links to other stuff. But so there's an EXP Explained in there. And on this Friday, guys, I've got Austin and Nate Chevron. I'm going to be interviewing them live about systems in business. And some of the systems are going to be revolving around attraction too, but for most part, it's going to be systems for doing sales. So the exact opposite of Elizabeth's style. Kidding. She's got
That's
systems.
Right. We all do things differently.
You got systems. You just don't call it systems. So, so anyway, we're going to do that on Friday, guys. And next week we've got Tina Call is going to be on this call. So drag somebody in, and hope you guys are liking Wednesdays the way we're doing it now. And Elizabeth, you're the best. You are the best.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. All
And
right.
congrats to all of y'all, man. It's awesome. You're right on the way to beta. So I'll be excited to celebrate you guys being there.
You got it. All right, guys, have a powerful week. See you soon.
Bye. Y'all.